Yeah, everyone joining in. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good morning. Let us know you're here on the chat. Introduce yourselves, give us your name and the city that you're from. Yeah, I've enabled the chat and we're also live on YouTube. So in case you're joining us from there, leave your introductions on the live chat. Great, Vivek, thanks for confirming. Now, all of you, just quickly introduce yourself. My name is Aparna. I'm going to be your host. We've got Andy. I'm going to
Hi,
take you through
everybody.
the session. And I am streaming from Bangalore.
And I am streaming from Portugal.
Yep. Sabarish, hi Lisa. Good morning to you. Herbert, okay. Vivek from Delhi. Swastik. Hi Tushar from Delhi. Berlin from Trivandrum. Okay. Jamal from the UK. Great, great. Keep those introductions coming. People on YouTube as well will be interacting with us on the live chat. Yes. Yeah. Aaron, hi from Minneapolis. Karthik from Bangalore as well. Okay, Edwin from the UK. Great. Great to see all of you. If anyone is just joining in, we're just taking a quick round of introductions. So let us know your name and the city. And we all know why we've gathered here. You'll understand the skills that you need to develop in specifically in the cloud architecture domain. And we'll understand how the Cloud Architect Masters program prepares you for that, right? Okay, so that's going to be the agenda or the core topic of today's webinar. And towards the end, we'll help you understand the enrollment steps for enrolling into this particular program. We'll talk about cohort dates and we'll talk about scholarships available as well. Okay, great. James, hi. Abhishek, hi. Saurabh. Yeah, great. So if you guys are here for the first time, as in if you're hearing about Simplilearn or attending a Simplilearn webinar for the first time, just give me a quick yes. Yeah, a quick yes if you're attending a Simplilearn webinar for the first time. Yeah, yes. Okay, a lot of you first
Yeah, it's a
timers.
lot of us. Yeah.
A lot of them. Yes. Veena, Savarish, Himanshu, Lisa, Vivek. Okay, Tushar. Let's see. Okay, most of you. But I'm sure you've heard of Simplilearn sometime, but I'll just quickly introduce Simplilearn to you. So we've touched 8 million, more than 8 million careers worldwide in our 14-year journey. And we've got learners from more than 150 countries. And that's, the evidence is that a lot of you here are from different countries, different time zones as well. And we offer skills, certifications, master's programs, PG courses in various domains. And we've partnered with a lot of leading universities and organizations to offer these courses, right? Amazing, James. Glad to know that. I'm assuming you've taken some of our free courses, but we also have a lot of career-aligned learning paths on all of these domains that you're seeing, also in cloud computing, and we've launched these programs in partnership with Purdue University. We've got UMass Amherst, we've also got AWS, Microsoft, PMI. A lot of partners are leading organizations as well, right? So that's just a quick introduction about Simplilearn. Okay, and let's just understand how we're going to go about the session. You might have questions to ask Andy, right? Because Andy comes with a lot of experience. I'll introduce him to you shortly as well. It's just that when you have a question, please make sure you use the Q&A box. All of you, I think, are aware of the Q&A box. So it's different from the chat box. So make sure you post your questions there and we'll take them towards the end of the session. Okay. And if you miss something, let's say you couldn't hear something, do not worry. You will receive a recording after the webinar is done. We'll collect your names and we'll also email you a webinar certificate along with the recording. Yes, and make sure your questions are relevant to what we're discussing, and also use the chat box to interact with us whenever we ask you. Okay, yeah. Now with that, let me just quickly introduce Andy to you. So Andy comes with an expertise of 24 years in the aerospace industry particularly, and he also specializes in training, certified training programs, offers training in AWS, Azure, containerization, and he also offers software development services to air traffic control systems, which is amazing. Andy, it's great to have you here. I'll let you
Thank you very
introduce
much.
yourself and we'll get
Yes.
it.
So as you've already mentioned some pretty important points, I've been in aerospace since 1999, actually late
Wow.
98. It's been a long it's been a long time when you say that. But over those short decades, there's been a lot of evolution, particularly in why we're here, which is the cloud, right? So the cloud didn't exist back in 1999. So
Mm,
I, like everybody that's attending here, had to embark on the journey as well, to learn about what is the cloud, what does it mean to be an architect, and all everything is different in the cloud, and how to kind of migrate those, your understanding from what on-prem to the cloud. And so I had to go through the same thing. So
mm,
any questions you have about the course, I think I can, I've taught the course as well. So I'm pretty well positioned to answer any questions. Right now, I'm mostly doing software development for an air traffic control client, but doing a tremendous amount of training as well, particularly in AWS, which seems to be the strong thing right now.
mm.
And that's it. I'm curious by nature, like most likely everybody here, and I'm continuously learning myself. So anything I learn new, I pass it on, and the students teach me stuff too. So that's why I love teaching, is it's a synergistic effect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. Continuous learning is the key to growth, I guess. So let's just proceed and understand a little more about you guys. So what we're going to do is you are going to tell us how aware of you are about the skills that you need to pursue a career here. In this particular domain, we're talking about cloud architecture, right? So let us know through the poll. If you're watching us on Zoom, make sure you use the poll to answer. Yeah, and if you're watching us on YouTube, just say 1, 2, or 3. Give us an answer on the live chat. Okay? Yes? Yes. Okay. So if you're done answering the poll, also let us know your experience, right? So your overall work ex, how many years do you carry? Do you already carry, cloud computing experience? Let us know very quickly on the chat as well, if you're done answering the poll. I mean, if you have cloud computing experience, then yes. Yes. How many years, or just overall work ex? Just let us know. Okay. Okay. We are receiving responses on the poll. Just going to keep the poll live for a few more seconds. Okay. Over a year of cloud experience. Herbert. Okay. Abhishek.
Terraform and infrastructure as code, right? So automation stuff in the cloud. Very good. That's Terraform is the number one product for doing that in the industry. So that's a great thing to know, and a great service to know.
Yeah. You're currently learning cloud and DevOps. Okay. Abhishek is already a part of the cohort, the cloud computing, sorry, the cloud
Okay.
architect masters. No hands-on experience. Edwin, just reading it up. Okay. Okay. Right. 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 I'm just going to end the poll right here and also share the results with you, Andy. You should be able to see them now.
All right.
Hmm.
So we've got 17%, which it's their first time, really. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
some, at least, half there know
Yeah.
some cloud, want to know more, which
Hmm.
makes sense, right? Since the cloud's been around for over a decade now. So a lot of
Hmm.
people have been able to go in and out there.
Yep.
And I am updated about them here for understanding it better. I think it's better, right? That the BE better.
Better. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's about a third of the class there. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, obviously, if you're completely new, right, it makes sense that you will have the maximum of the benefits of this course. I mean, if
Hmm.
we start with, what is the cloud? What's the big deal about the cloud? So
Yes.
that's, you know, for those who already know what the cloud is, of course, you'll have to accompany the others on that ride, but then that slope goes up and eventually everybody is going to be on the same learning curve. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll just understand what cloud architecture is, and then we'll just understand what's coming up, what skills you need, and how this program fits right there and helps you with these skills. Okay. So yeah, and you were just mentioning about what cloud architecture really is.
Yeah, so cloud architecture is very much really like the job of an architect, right? Like forget the cloud, forget IT, right? What does an architect really do? It lays down the foundation on which you can build upon, right? That you can add things upon. So that's really what we're trying to do here as a cloud architect is you might start from a situation where you're working at a company that already has infrastructure on their site and you want to know, well, how do I migrate that to the cloud, right? It could be based on, budget, time, there's many considerations. You want it done tomorrow, you want a better infrastructure for, 3 months from now, so you're going to put in some time and effort. So there's different kind of architectural styles based on how much time and money are going to be thrown at the solution. But you're always going to be identifying services that are needed. And there's over 200 services in
Mm,
just AWS, right? And there's not too far away from that as well in Azure. And I say AWS and Azure in the same sentence because this program covers both those top two cloud providers, right?
yeah.
And so you have to identify which services would be in line with the ones you're used to using, let's say at your company. For example, everybody uses a database in one form of another, right? So if you're using an Oracle database or a MySQL database, how do you do that in the cloud, right? So there are services that allow you to run it as if it was on premise, or you opt into a managed service that helps you alleviate all the administrative tasks. There's a lot of options. And so this course analyzes all those options. And based on what, the management at your company is interested in, their budget, their vision, right? You get to align with them. Okay.
Mm,
So the cloud architect is about taking their applications, their processes, and putting them onto the cloud, onto those services. So it's also about, as this slide is saying, you want to build scalable, secure, cost-efficient solutions. So security is really the number one priority, right? So how do you secure those services in the cloud? Well, you first got to think, can I secure a network, my network in the cloud? Yes. What are the components of that? Can I secure outside of my network, even before the network traffic comes in? Yes, you can do that. And all the cloud providers do that, specifically Azure and AWS in our case. And so we go through how to do that, how to make sure that the infrastructure that you architect is able to take on any additional traffic that comes in, right? What if you go viral? How are you going to handle that? That's scalability, as it's saying here on the slide, scalable. Can you handle that influx of traffic? So we teach you how to do all that.
mm. Right, absolutely. Great. Thanks for answering that. So, if you can also summarize the responsibilities of what a cloud architect does, because someone had that question. I mean, the question was not clear, but I'm assuming they had the same doubt as to what responsibilities does a cloud architect have?
Yeah, so the cloud architect is really in charge of the big idea, all right, of the design, okay? Not necessarily or theoretically, if we're talking about just the theory of the position, right? It's not really about you putting it into place. It's you about designing it, okay? Diagrams, this is going to connect to this. This is how we're going to achieve resiliency, scalability,
Mm.
high availability. These are terms that may not be known to you right now, but we teach you what that means, like something like high availability, what that means, why that's favorable, why that should be in all your designs, right? And so you come up with the master plan. Now, it may very well be you yourself that puts it into place. It depends on the size of the company. If you're
Mm.
only 5 people, you're going to be doing it, right? If
Yeah.
you're 1,000 employees, you're probably not going to be doing it, right? You're going to come up with all these nice plans and say, this is how we're going to structure our servers to talk to, our web servers, talking to our application servers, talking to our databases, et cetera, right? And then some engineer, call that a cloud engineer, right? Not a cloud architect. A cloud engineer would take your plans and put them into place. Okay. So it's
Mhm.
like you're showing up at the construction site, so to speak, with your plans, right? These big papers. And then the construction company comes, grabs them, and says, we'll take care of it from here. We know how to read these papers, right? So the cloud architect is, you're just dealing with the diagrams in a big company. Hopefully
Right.
that clears that up.
Definitely, it does clear that up. But does that mean the cloud architect is, I mean, it's a very random question, but does that mean he's less important than a cloud engineer? He or she is.
No, I mean everybody plays their hands, right?
Mhm.
Everybody has their own responsibility. Even the cloud engineer, a
Mhm.
cloud engineer when reading the plans has to know if this makes sense or not too, right? And say, well, this
Mhm.
doesn't make any sense. You have no resiliency. If this crashes, that's a single point of failure. So everybody needs to understand at the very base
Mhm.
what the architecture should look like, right? Now, with experience, you're going to come up with some nice architectures that people say, oh, wow, I never thought about that. That looks really good, but you just can't put anything on that diagram because everybody is supposed to at least speak a common language, right?
Yeah.
It's like maybe not everybody's a math whiz, right? But everybody should understand addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. It's kind of like that, right? There's like a common language that we should all be able to speak, and the architect language is very important. It doesn't matter even if you're a developer.
Hmm.
You should understand architecture, or else you're going to develop things that are not going to be well supported in a
Yeah.
nice architecture. Okay.
Yeah. So just to also answer Swastik's question here, so he's asking, does it mean that this person is only going to be doing the DFDs, or just that, or how is the role?
Like I said, it could be depending on the size of the company, right? For
Yeah.
let's just take an extreme case. Let's say you start working for AWS, right?
Hmm.
Congratulations, right? Then yeah, that's all you'll be doing, right? If
Hmm.
you're working for, let's say, my company, well, you're going to be doing more because, I don't have many employees. So, we all have to wear a couple of hats. We'll do a
Hmm.
design, we'll do an implementation. Sometimes we'll swatch it up. Sometimes we'll do many pieces together. So
Hmm.
it depends on the size
Okay.
of the team.
Great, great, great. Thanks for answering that. So now that we know what cloud architecture really is, who a cloud architect is, what's coming up really? What should one be prepared about?
Well, first off, is whatever company you're going to be working for, they probably have a presence on site, right? That's called an on-premise
Yeah.
network. So you're going to want to attach through the network your on-premise network with the cloud, right? So the cloud is just your own network. There'll be a private network in there. So how do you connect those two? Do you want to go all in on the cloud and abandon everything on-prem? Do you want to have a hybrid? Hybrid means both of them together. Or, do you want to run everything on-prem? And if everything crashes, you back up to the cloud. I mean, there's different architectural styles for disaster recovery. And, whatever makes sense from a latency point of view, a compliance point of view, a cost point of view, you can do a mix of those. Okay. So that's something that we go through. How do you connect on-premise networks with clouds and how do you support that? What technologies you should look into? If you want to go all cloud native, native means you just want to go into the cloud. And also, if you want to move away from management of all these resources, like you don't want to do patching, you don't want to update OSs, you don't want to have 100 servers up and running, you just want somebody else to take care of that, like Azure or AWS, then we take a look at serverless. That's point number 2 here. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
serverless is a funny word because there are servers. Okay. It's just that
Mhm.
you are not managing them. It's somebody else. Okay.
I see.
So very important architectural style to know when to take advantage of. It's a pay-as-you-go model, which is really nice as well. So those are two nice points that we cover.
Mm.
Cloud native applications, I was just talking about. Do you want to
Mm.
go all into the cloud? If so, you might want to go with a cloud native serverless application, right? You might want to do that. If you come up with a big idea and you don't know if it's going to have any success, you could definitely go cloud native. And if you go viral, well, it could scale, on a dime. There's no problem, right? And if you're not successful, right, unfortunately, well, you didn't have to invest anything because you only pay for what you use. So you only spent a couple of dollars, so that's really good. And point number four, edge computing.
Mm.
That just means at the outer bounds, right? So think of the nucleus as AWS, and at the outer bound of that, you have the edge. And the edge is really deployed in, I would say, heavily populated areas, right? So all these data centers, you don't see them anywhere, right? They're hidden, they're secret. And also they're way out. You have to drive hours and hours even to see one if you even know where they are. Okay. They're kind of secret. But these edge locations, they're in populated areas in order to take advantage of caching, right? So since the majority of people there, millions of people there, um, and then they could access these small little kind of data centers that are in proximity physically to them, right? So it's important to know how to take advantage of those little locations and how to secure them too. So
Hmm. Understood.
nice.
That's what's coming up, right? So, how does one prepare for these trends, or what do you advise to someone who's just starting out here?
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to first look at the different kinds of kind of networks, right? So how are you going to secure network? What kind of compute you're going to need? Now that's a kind of a fancy word for maybe the beginners. Compute just means what kind of processing power are you going to be using? Are you going to be using a virtual machine? Are you going to be using, serverless services like in AWS, we have AWS Lambda. Are you going to be using containers? Those kind of things. So those are kind of skills that we teach you. Coming to the class, it'd be good if you already know things like, what an IP address is, what a subnet is, what a router is,
Mm.
what a container is generally, what a virtual machine is. These are kind of technologies that have been with us for over a decade now, right? So even more. So these are kind of things that if you have the basic concept of those, we build on top of them. So we can show you how to secure your network for security or how to secure your code, your applications, your containers, your virtual machines. So there's a lot to speak of there, right? So we just kind of wrap it around and say, you already know what a virtual machine is, right? Or you might already know what a container is. This is the services in Azure, in AWS, and this is how we secure them, and this is how we do the networking and et cetera. So we don't just, as in point three here, we don't just talk about individual services, okay? We introduce them as such, but then we show you how to combine them, right? How does a database talk to, let's say, a serverless function as a service, right? That might be something you've never heard, but we tell you how to do that, or how do you connect that to a virtual machine in Azure or in AWS? How do you scale your database? How do you make sure that if your prime database goes down,
Mhm.
you have a redundant that automatically takes its place within a matter of seconds, right? So all these things, like point three is talking about, we have to have the ability to, um, you know, factor in scalability, reliability, and of course, cost is always an issue, right?
Mhm.
You shouldn't just think, oh, I'm going to the cloud, it's going to be cheaper. It's actually not true. Okay. You have to be careful, and we show you what to be careful about. Okay. Because you gotta think these companies, whether it's AWS, Azure, Google, it doesn't matter. They're all in it to make money, right? Let's not
Yeah.
forget that. We're clients. And
Mm.
so we got to know how to use those services economically and not foolishly. Right. So we go through that as well.
Right, 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 right. Some more skills that you have.
Yeah, so the networking I already talked about, the custom optimization I talked about. The one in the middle, number five, I guess left is we already had a comment on Terraform here.
Mhm.
But automation, right? You can't just sit there and with a mouse click on the screen and create all the resources you want, right? What if you need 10,000 machines, right? What if you need 300 databases? You can't manually create that. It just doesn't scale, right? What if, you have to recreate it because there's a disaster? What if you need to recreate it in different environments, development, test, production, pre-prod, etc.? No human can do that, right? And I don't even remember what I ate like 2 days ago at lunch, right? So how are you going to remember all the options to click, right? If you haven't created a database in a month or two or three or a year, right? So we have to automate this. We have to
Right.
literally press a button or execute one command, and the thing just kicks off and
Mm,
automates the whole thing. Think of it
mm,
as building a car on a
mhm,
manufacturing line, right?
mm, mm.
Robots doing everything, putting everything together. There's a little bit of manual intervention, of course, but they try to automate that whole process from front to end. So the car could be spit out in I don't even know how much time, but quite quickly, right? Well, we want to get that done even faster than that. So we have a family of infrastructure as code services. Um, for example, CloudFormation is the one used in AWS, but the industry standard or de facto standard is Terraform. All right. So we go through some of those as well to teach you why automation is so important and how to tackle it with some of these services.
Mm. So actually, while you were highlighting these skills, now what it looks like is someone needs to really experience these hands-on. I mean, rather than understanding, what they do, right? So, and that's
Absolutely.
when you are kind of not defending, but say you're demonstrating to an employer that, this is the experience that I carry, this is what I've done.
Yes.
Does the course also offer that? And if you can just, I mean, we'll talk about it in the end, but
Hmm.
how can one really learn hands-on, through this course? You can just highlight that.
Sure. Well, first of all, I mean, what all the instructors should do, right? I mean, this is what I do, but it's part of the curriculum as well,
Mhm.
is to always give demonstrations on every single topic, right?
Mm.
And then there's labs. There's in-class labs as well. Okay, there's homework to do, of course, right? But there's in-class labs too. So as you know, I might talk about a topic. For example, let's say we're talking about creating a network, which is called a VPC, a virtual private cloud in AWS. Okay.
Mhm.
If I'm showcasing that, then after that, I'm going to ask you, okay, you're going to do it, and we're going to do something simple as a first time, just so you kind of grasp it. Then after that, there'll be homework, and then of course, eventually there'll be these capstone projects that we'll talk about at the end of this webinar, where you can put everything together and have services talking to each other to come up with actually an overall functionality.
Got it. Understood. Understood. So let's just understand from the audience here, now that you've understood what skills you need really, I mean, probably you should be well versed with. Could you let us know which skill would you want to build, or what kind of topic would you want to focus more on if you are a part of this cohort? Just let us know on the chat. Or is it everything, all of the above that Andy mentioned, or whether it's just one topic, one module, anything? People on YouTube, Anya, everyone else who's interacting with us in the chat, you can let us know. Or if you're hearing these terms for the first time, also that, I mean, you can just let us know whatever your answer is. DevOps, okay. Edwin is very keen about hands-on, okay. Abhishek, we'll probably put that question on the Q&A box. We'll take that up. Swastik, also DevOps, okay. Edwin, you feel that you can still read it up on internet, okay. All of the above, but yeah, yes. Anyone else? I mean, you don't have to hesitate. Everyone here is nearly a beginner, so you can let me know whatever your answer is. All of the above, system design, okay. Berlin, Himanshu, great, great. All right. So
A lot of DevOps, a lot of DevOps.
A lot of DevOps. Yep, yep, yep. Okay, great. A lot of you want to learn DevOps,
Yeah,
right?
so the course itself that we're talking about today, of course, will mention DevOps. We will go through some of the DevOps, but it is certainly not the core topic, right?
Mm.
Simplilearn does offer other
DevOps.
courses,
Yeah.
on DevOps, right? And actually, I'll be teaching that one. I think
Mm.
it starts in July. Okay. So I'll
Yeah.
be teaching that, but I just want to, we no one's here to give false expectations.
Expectation.
This is you're not going to be coming into this course and just doing DevOps from day one to, day, X, right? We start with, what is the cloud, and you learn the services and how to put them together. You learn architecture. So there's a lot of architecture, a lot of infrastructure in this course. That is the main theme. Okay. It is not DevOps.
Yes.
That's another course. So I want to, point you to those Simplilearn courses for that. But that's not to say that there's not some DevOps in this course. There's going to be later on in the journey.
Right. So I think I'll just help the learners with the DevOps courses that we have. Of course, there are a lot of them, and some of them are offered in partnership with universities. Some of them are offered in collaboration with AWS, some with Azure, some both. So what I'm going to do is to just share the link to our cloud computing and DevOps courses in general, and what it will lead you to is this page, right? And then, yeah, you can see that there are some DevOps programs here. You can take a look at whatever is suitable to you and take up those courses as well. Yeah, but today's focus, of course, is to help you understand about cloud architecture, what you need to learn, how you can develop those skills, right? So if you could just deep dive a little more in the curriculum as well, Andy, and then,
Sure.
how this helps someone.
Yeah, so the first, like I can see here, most of the courses have the word Microsoft Azure in there. So
Mm,
the first part, which is this AWS Solutions Architect, is actually quite a big course there.
mm, mm,
So the Azure ones might be a little bit smaller, but have multiple, whereas the architect class is
mm,
quite lengthy. And
mm,
I've actually taught that for Simplilearn as well. There is just a tremendous amount of information, labs in there, and you basically go from literally zero to hero in that class. You can come out of that the whole course, AWS Solutions Architect, knowing how to architect a whole application that's resilient, scalable, highly available, not only in a traditional virtualized environment, but also in a serverless environment, and using the different technologies even in there, like containers and Lambda functions, those kind of things. Okay.
mm,
Now, for those that are new
mm,
to cloud, I will tell you that'll be the hardest one, because you're going to learn all the concepts in the cloud for the first time. Okay.
mm,
And then once you get to the second course here, which is Azure Fundamentals and
mm,
the Administrator Associate, you're not going to start over,
mm,
right? You're going to see that you're already going to know like 30%,
mm,
because it's always the same concepts, right?
mm.
It's kind of like, when you buy a car, you don't have to relearn how to drive a car, right?
Yeah.
You already know how to drive the car, but oh, where's the button for the AC? Where's the volume for this? That's what's different. Oh, there's this new feature. That's fun. My seat vibrates. I've never been in a car with that. So they all have the kind of the same services, right? Everybody creates virtual machines, everybody has storage, everybody does networking, everybody does AI, but of course, they have different names,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So just like cars have different names, different models, you got to learn the names. So as an architect, okay, it's AWS Blob. Sorry, it's AWS S3 storage and Azure Blob. Those are the two services that deal with object storage, right? You might not even know what that means for now, but that's fine. I'm just telling you, you're going to start thinking in lines, what's this service in the other one? What's this service in Google Cloud? So it's there. It's just a different name. And once you get into that service, you're gonna after a while say, oh, this is pretty similar. You're not starting from zero. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the nice thing is that at the very, very start, especially if you're a beginner,
Right.
it doesn't matter which program, it's tiring. It's a challenge. So don't think you're not going to be doing any work here, right? This is a challenging curriculum, especially I would say, it's kind of like you have this big boulder and you have to push it at the beginning. That's the hardest part. And then when it starts
Yeah.
rolling, you still got work to do, but it's just not as hard as the first
Right.
inertia that you got to get through, right? So that's why, that first class is a little bit longer, even though it doesn't show that it's longer here. They look like they're all equal lengths, but it is
Yeah, of
longer.
course.
And after that, you're going to learn the same concepts. So fundamentals is just, again, just, what is the cloud, but in Azure, how they do things differently. They have a little bit more of a global view instead of a regional view, which again, you'll learn about later. And then you'll learn how to do administration in their cloud versus the administration you learned in
Hmm.
the AWS architect. So, I mean, there is some administration you learn as well. And then after that, you have designing, the Azure infrastructure solution. So this is really where now you say, okay, I know the services in Azure. I know how to administrate them. I want to know how to have the same high availability, scalability, redundancy, resiliency, all those kind of things that I learned in AWS. And we go through that. And at the end,
Hmm.
you put all your skills together into a project and you prove to yourself and also to any potential employers, because you could show these employers
Right.
these projects, right? You can
Right.
put them on your GitHub, and then employers love GitHub, right? A lot of them online ask, give us your GitHub link, right?
Yeah.
Show us what you've been up to, and then you could say, hey, look, I built these capstone projects, and they could spin them up and be impressed by what you've done.
Exactly. So this is exactly how the program prepares you, right? Someone had a question on how do I begin as a beginner? Like I'm a total fresher to this field. So this is exactly how we help you. Along with that, you get you get to practice everything that you learn hands-on. So like Andy just mentions, you get access to hands-on, tools hands-on, which is AWS, Azure Block Bobs, similar to what Andy mentioned, along with content that is AWS authorized. So all the self-learning content here, the part of the course, which is part of the course, is AWS authorized, right? And of course, you also get access to the MS Azure exam voucher for the Azure courses, and you get a course completion badge as well. If you complete these modules, you get a certificate and you can access that on the Microsoft Learn portal. Okay. And yeah, you also get a completion transcript that validates that you completed Azure courses, you learned something on Azure, and you get all of these from instructors that are qualified, experienced, and have immense knowledge in the field and what's coming up, right? So like what Andy said, so he's also taught a lot of cohorts, and we've got other trainers as well who will be teaching you each of these courses, and you will be able to access that on a learning management system, right? So how this LMS or say the learning environment looks like, you will be able to see that once you become a part of the cohort. But that's where you get access to our support team. That's where you're able to access all the learning content, whether it's a live class recording, whether it's a PDF, all of that on the learning environment. Along with this, like I said, you get access to the capstone projects as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, Andy. So these capstone projects are also guided by our trainers. And so that's how
Yes,
you.
yes. There's also sessions. There's, I believe, if it's not half hour, it's 1 hour sessions that
Yes.
eventually you have as a group that you can, bounce ideas off each other or,
Yeah.
validate an idea with the instructor, get some hints. Of course, we're not there to give you the whole solution. We're here to guide you. You know what I mean? If we see you're on the wrong path, We tell you so you don't, waste too much time on that. We reorient you on the right path. We remind you of things you might have forgotten because, there's a lot of information. It's normal to forget some stuff, right? We mentioned the big items that you should have in your repertoire, to use in your solution, those kind of things. But it's meant to be challenging, right? It's not the course that we're gonna hand feed you and give you all the solutions and, in the class, of course, we show you everything, and I do show you the solutions and everything. But if you have a capstone project, or if you have a lab to do after the course, right after the session, you got to figure it out, right? I mean, that's the whole point, is you need to be autonomous.
Yeah, exactly. So we focus on uh, teaching you with a practical approach, right? So the idea is that we prepare you for job roles that you can take up after the school. So we basically help you understand what happens in the industry, how you're supposed to go about becoming a cloud architect of sorts, and then you learn all these tools, skills that can be easily applied, and you can kind of demonstrate these skills in an interview as well. Yeah. So along with all of this, you get access to career support as well. By career support, I mean job assist. That's what we call it, the Simplilearn Job Assist program, where we offer you insights on how you can, just refine your resume, give you a membership, IAM Jobs Pro membership for free, and help you, boost your profile to potential recruiters. So that's how the mentorship happens for getting you a job after you complete the program. Okay, so that's how the program is different from what you find, say, on YouTube or the other free platforms. Okay, so Andy, if you can just also highlight what one can take up after this role, what kind of jobs can one expect to take up?
For this particular course, I would say you could do Cloud Solutions Architect up at the top left there, Cloud Engineer.
Mm.
Now, like I said, I talked about the architect and the solutions architect. That's the same thing. Just, some nice fancy marketing words there to make you sound, even more important. Right? We all like nice job titles, right? So the solutions architect comes up with the plans, the cloud engineer puts them into place. Now, in terms of a cloud consultant, I mean, of course, that's going to depend on, if you've opened your own practice or something like that. That could be something eventually with a little bit more experience that you get into, right? You could wrap that up if you have some software experience too. Case in point, myself, right? I've been developing since the very beginning, so my consulting practice is a mix of exactly that: cloud engineering, cloud solutions architect, software development, those kind of things. All right. So you can
Right.
wrap that up. Now, the DevOps engineer, of course, you'll know what it does, what the role of a DevOps engineer is in this course, because we'll talk about it, but you won't be able to become a DevOps engineer with this course.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Just because, this is another course, right? So let's be honest.
Yes.
Cloud Operations Manager. Now this is almost like, imagine a car that goes out of the factory, somebody buys it, and then they're driving that car for years and years and years. There's going to be some maintenance to do, right? Now,
Yeah.
during that whole maintenance, like that's the cloud operations manager, that you got to have maintenance on runtime systems, right? Production systems, testing systems. So we do cover some topics in this space, but again, we have more also, we have elective courses as well that you might be interested in taking that focus more on that area to become that. The cloud security architect on the right in the middle, you're
I
going to know enough security to secure the edge, to secure your network. But security in itself, again, that's a completely other course if you want to go into the deepest levels of that. So cloud security architect would be this course plus specifically security, another security course. And cloud infrastructure architect, yeah, you're going to learn about cloud formation, all those automation services that we talked about for automating our infrastructure. So you could definitely get a foot in there, okay? But it would help as well if you knew some programming language, maybe something like shell scripting or Python to kind of add the magic sauce there, the little spice that's needed to augment that. Okay. So although this course is the foundation, I think whatever you want to do in the cloud, whether it's SysOps, security, architects, DevOps, whatever, you have to have the infrastructure knowledge. If you don't, you'll always feel that it's your weakest link because everything is built on it. Okay.
Right. Right.
That's where I started, by the way. I started with architecture and I found everything else way easier after.
Hmm. Understood. Understood. So we'll take you through the enrollment steps. Someone was asking about the course fee, but
Sure.
let's hear what other learners have to say as well. So I'm just going to take you through Rajesh's journey. I know it's a long video, but we'll just play this, for a while. Let's understand how this course helped him land a dream job. I mean, that's what he says, but let's understand what he learned, what his learning outcomes
I've been
were.
working with FIES for the last 12 years. Last year, I took a course from the Simplilearn and I got promoted twice. Hi, I'm Rajesh.
Sorry, I think the video got stuck. Let me just open it up. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm a husband, a father of two beautiful daughters, and an IT professional living in America. I moved to California 6 years back for an AWS project at my company. In 2020, FIS decided to start a 5-year project based on cloud, which was not there before. At that time, I was working as a technical architect, want to explore more opportunities within my company, and I thought upskilling would help me to get a promotion. I decided to go for the Cloud Architect Master's course from Simplilearn because I have always been interested in cloud technology. This technology has evolved over time. Now it is providing high performance applications which are more reliable. I really liked the online course and it was convenient. The course was comprehensive and including modules like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud while covering the basics of the cloud. After the course, I got promoted twice, first to the post of senior architect and then to the senior development manager at my company with a 30% salary hike. This course also helped me grow my network. I understand technicalities and have better discussions with my peers. Living in America is a dream for many. It was my dream too. I have now adjusted to the American lifestyle. I'm mostly working, but in my free time, I like to play frisbee with my daughters. Learning is lifelong. Every day is a new day, and you should learn something new every day. A platform like Simplilearn are really good for people.
Yeah, that was Rajesh's journey, but just very similar to what Andy said in the beginning, right? So you have to be learning continuously. You have to be upskilling yourself and making sure you see what's coming up, be prepared for it, right? So you can take a look at more such learners' testimonial success stories on the course page. I've shared the link there on the chat. But in case you are interested in enrolling in the program, all you can do is give us a yes on the poll that I'm about to launch. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, what you do is you click on the link in the course, in the video description, and you use the coupon code that we've given there to enroll. But if you're watching us on Zoom, what you can do is just click a yes on the poll if you would like a learning advisor to reach out to you. Now, if you live in the US, you should be receiving a call in the next few hours, but let's say you live the rest of the world, India or anywhere else, you should be receiving a call tomorrow, yeah, because it's late in the evening. You are already in, that's great to know, Veena. You can explore other options as well, but of course, after you've completed the upcoming cohort, right? So the next cohort starts, it's just right around the corner. It starts on the 15th of April. And the duration of the program is 8 weeks, right? Someone was asking us about the course fee. Now, what I have done is just shared the fee details for only a couple of regions, which is US and India. If you live anywhere else, let's say in the UK or anywhere else, please check the course fees pertaining to your region, you can do that by clicking on the link that I've shared on the chat. Okay. But you can also pay these course fees in installments. You've got an option to use some of these providers to have zero interest in installments. If you live in India, if you live in the US, you have installments as low as $128 a month. Okay, so this is to ensure that there's no burden on your pocket as well, right? So let's look at questions meanwhile. Okay, yeah, we were kind of anticipating this question, Andy.
Yeah.
This question, is there any possibilities that AI can take jobs in DevOps or cloud architecture? What is
Listen, right now, as of today, I'm very disappointed in what we're being fed in the news
Yeah.
versus what I see in reality. Where our jobs are not going to go away. I mean, even as a developer, just the code. Yes, AI can create the code. Yes, it can create it faster. Yes. But then when you ask AI to, modify the code for a new feature or to add this or to add that, or without breaking any existing behaviors or create a new feature, it just can't do it well at all, right? And it's just not there. Okay. That's not to say one day it won't be there. I mean, who knows what the future holds? I mean, I'm not going to pretend I know what's going to happen in 5 or 10 years, but I can tell you right now, it's just a tool. Okay. So don't buy into the hype. So just like a hammer doesn't pop out from the toolbox and build a house for you, right? The same thing. AI is not going to take your job from you. It's going to be used as a tool, a powerful tool, just like an electric tool can dramatically improve your performance and your home, your home project that you're doing. I use it myself to get, all that boring stuff out of the way that would take me hours. I'm building templates for automation, for DevOps, for infrastructure, all these, JSON templates, YAML templates, it does maybe a bad job. It doesn't work, but at least it did it like 90%, right? So I go in there with my knowledge, right? And I fix it, right? So I just save myself like 4 or 5 hours, right? So that's how I'm using AI right now. And you'll never know if AI is doing a good or bad job if you don't have the knowledge. You'll just be like, okay, it works. It must be good.
Just like
Right?
how, I mean, in the context of even writing an email, I mean, I'm sure you wouldn't copy paste the entire content that ChatGPT generates or any other AI tool generates for that matter. You're going to tweak it, refine it, and share it with whoever it is. I think
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
like
it
that,
just
right?
exactly. It's just like even translating, like, have you ever like translated text from another language to your native language? And you're like, it's pretty good, but there's a couple of things that we don't say, we don't say it like that.
Yeah.
And that's AI, right?
Yeah.
Like it did a great job. But if you have the knowledge, you can just correct those little pieces. And that's exactly the same thing that's going on in software and in templates. And, we've all heard of these things where there's like hallucinations. It just makes stuff up sometimes, and it's kind of like it's cool, but you need to find that and say, hey, that doesn't make any sense, right? So we're not there yet. Your job right now is still okay.
Yep. 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 And also, what do you recommend to someone, who's not been into coding? So,
Okay, listen, here's the thing, right? You can't if you're not a coder, you got to learn at least how to script. Scripting is not software development. Scripting is like, I just need to automate these kind of steps. I'm typing the commands out anyways, right? So why don't I put them in a file and then when I execute the file, it does them for me, right? And I might do something like, if this is true, do this. If this didn't work, do that. That's just basic scripting, okay? That's what you need to know, okay? You can use, like I mentioned before, shell scripting, Python, these kind of scripting languages, you know, if you know some JavaScript, great. You don't need to though, right? But just for infrastructure, automation, I would say shell scripting and Python, those are the ones that are really looked at in the job market, right? So learn, I would say don't invest more than a couple of days learning it. I mean, that's really all you need to do. But to say, oh, I'm not a developer, I don't want to do that, don't have that attitude, okay?
yeah.
It's kind of like saying I want to drive, but I don't want to parallel park. I just want to drive. right? You have to have this little skill
Mm.
of how to parallel park. It's part of it, right? So learn for a couple of days how to script, and then you'll be fine.
Hmm. Noman, I'm not sure about Pakistan. You can still open the course page and then, check the fees in Pakistan rupees. I'm not sure about the exact fees there. So Andy, I had this question for someone,
Sure.
who's wanting to grow in the field. Now, obviously, coding or any other technical knowledge about tools or experience, hands-on experience would help them first job. But what about growing? What kind of skills or a person would you hire, say as a leader or, for senior roles? What would you look for in them?
What would I look for? I would look honestly, like you might not get the same answer from me that you'll get from other people, okay? But I've noticed, anybody can learn stuff, anybody can know things, and everybody can answer questions, what's this service? What's that service doing? Like we're all on the same page eventually, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
It's more about, do you have a passion for it, right? Are you interested in it? Like, show me that you're interested in it, right? Why, you say you're passionate, but show me. And this is where that thing about the GitHub is very important, right? If you're
Yes,
so passionate, why don't you have anything on GitHub? Why don't you have any projects? Why can't you show me anything, right?
right.
Like, it's not enough today to just have certificates, right? Just say, I did this course, I read this book, you gotta put it into practice. So I look for that, okay?
Mhm.
And the other thing is, this is the answer you might not get from everybody, is a person's imagination. It's very important to have imagination, okay? There's 1,000 ways to implement the same solution. It really, you could have 10 architects, and 10 architects will come up with a different plan on how to come up with a solution, right? And that's a good thing. It becomes a little bit artistic, right? It's kind of like software programming, right? People who don't understand software programming might say, that's not art, right? And I would understand their point. But once you get into software development and architecting, there is that artistic side, and that's where your imagination comes in. So, you know, I look for that too. I throw out scenarios and I just see how people answer, right? If they're really imagining a solution, thinking about a solution, that's important, right? So this goes back to always keep on learning, evolving, right? And showing again that you're motivated by showing proof. Those are the things that are important besides just knowing the material.
Understood. Great, thanks for answering that. So Sabrish, yeah, Andy, Sabrish has a question here, which I'm assuming the answer is yes. So someone who is wanting to become a cloud architecture or pursue something in DevOps must be specialized in also using AI. So would you also expect someone to be proficient there, smart, to be understanding how AI?
Specialized in AI? No,
No?
not specialized. I would say that you
Mhm.
should have a certain level of knowledge in
Mhm.
the tooling in that space to help you, right? It's like if you only ever knew that there was a hammer and a screwdriver and a saw, right? And those were your tools to build a house,
Mhm.
then you'd be missing out on stuff. So of course, you don't need to be specialized in every tool, but you just need to have kind of like a knowledge space. Say, I know that there's these tools that can help me in these areas, right?
Mhm.
But you don't have to be specialized in them. Especially these tools it's a crazy world right now. They're evolving so fast, they're changing all the time. I mean, it's calmed down a little bit this year. We're changing names all over the place last year. But now that the industry is kind of maturing on some core products, every cloud provider, you can start getting into those. But the AI space is not necessarily, you don't need to be specialized in that for architecture or DevOps. I don't believe so, no.
Mhm. Understood. Someone has a question about timing, Raghu. So again, it depends on where you are located. So what I suggest is go to the course page, head to the course page and scroll down to the curriculum section. You'll be able to find the cohort timings and the dates and the time here. In IST, which is Indian Standard Time, you can see that it's 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., but it's slightly different if you're in a different time zone. Okay. So make sure you open the course link from wherever you are, and then you will be able to see the cohort classes as well. So you can see the entire schedule of each of these courses that are a part of the curriculum. Yeah. So that's how you can check the timing as well. Okay, so we've got about half of you responded on the poll. The other half, please make sure you do that right now, because if you click on a yes, you will be contacted by a learning advisor, and you'll also be offered a scholarship that is, pertaining to whatever region you are in, right? And that happens only if you click on a yes and were a part of today's webinar. So make sure you use this opportunity, get the scholarship by clicking on a yes, and we're going to end the poll very, very soon. Yeah, right. Let's see. We have more questions to answer. I think that's about it.
There was just one question here. I'll answer it live.
Mhm.
It says, what's the best programming language suited for cloud computing? There is no best language. There's just too many of them. It really depends. There's languages that are specific for specific kind of things. We call those kind of domain specific languages. But I would say, for the architecture and the DevOps, if you concentrate, if you just want to have like one language that can do it all in that space, I would say Python is a good one to know.
Right.
Okay. But there is not one programming language that's good for everything.
Amazing. Great, great. Thanks so much, Andy, for answering all of these questions. With this, I think we'll also end the poll. And what we're going to do is we are going to collect your names for the webinar certificate. And you can enter your full name here, how you'd like to be displayed on the certificate, and share it with your network on LinkedIn. You can also tag Andy on LinkedIn and let us know your thoughts about how you enjoyed the session, all of that, while you do it on social. Yeah. So please make sure you enter your full name on the poll. And if you're watching us on YouTube, still wondering how you can get the certificate, email us on webinars@simplilearn.net, and that's how we'll be able to help you. But if you're watching us on Zoom, all you need to do is to enter the poll and enter your name in the poll. Okay. Right. And also quick thoughts on the session, Tushar, on the poll, please. On the poll. Quick thoughts. What did you learn? Your takeaways on the chat. Let us know. Sorry. Let us know how you liked the session, what you liked about it, what your takeaways are, what you're going to do next. I'm excited to know. I think for me, it was understanding cloud architecture, possibilities of cloud architecture, building a career there. I think these were my biggest takeaways. As a beginner, I had no idea. Thanks, Andy, for breaking it down so well so that, even a layman could understand that.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. Anytime. Yes. I have another question here. Which one would you recommend to start off with, Andy? AWS, Azure, GCP?
I would start with AWS. I find that's the one that's the easiest to start with. I've done GCP and I've looked at Azure, and I find AWS has the most logical approach. Their names are the weirdest for their services, but that's just marketing. But their architectural approach is more localized, simpler to understand in my case, in my understanding. And so I would go with AWS first.
Amazing. Great. So we've got another 10 more learners who are supposed to enter their names. Please continue to do that. Make sure you enter your names because we'll be closing down the poll in the next 1 minute. Actually, Andy also has to go. He just, had a chance to be a part of this webinar. Thanks so much, Andy, for your time.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
And just to finish up, there was like two questions there. Do I need to learn all tools in DevOps? Again, this is not a DevOps course, but if you do take the DevOps course, yes, you'll need to know Docker. You'll need to know Kubernetes. Yes.
Yep.
That's a big thing in DevOps is container orchestration. Yes. And how each cloud provider does it differently, right? AWS, Azure, Google, they all have their services to orchestrate containers.
Great, great, great. All right. Thanks so much, Andy, for
All
your
right.
time. I think we'll end this session right here. I'm just going to close down the poll in the next few seconds, but it was great hosting you and looking forward to the next one as well.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you, and hope to see you in a classroom soon.
Yes. All
Bye
right.
now.
Bye. 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 Yes. So if you guys have finished entering your name, you can also leave. But what I would like you guys to also do is give us a rating, right? So I just want to finish off the certificate poll very quickly and take in your ratings because we take feedback seriously. So in case you want us to cover something else, please do that on the rating poll that I'm about to launch. So I'll just end the certificate poll here and quickly launch a rating poll. Okay. Now, how would you rate us, or how would you think of this question as how would you recommend us as well, right? Would you recommend a similar webinar to a friend or a colleague? Give us a 0 if it's no, not at all, a 5 if you strongly recommend this webinar to others. Just use the poll there. Vivek and Daniel, we've closed the certificate poll, but in case you missed it, want your certificate still, this is the email ID you reach out to, okay? Quickly give us your feedback as well. You kind of consider that for the upcoming session. Also, let us know what you would like us to do next in that poll, or let's say you want to do it on the chat right now. Also, is great. Just give us suggestions on what you would like to hear next or learn next through our webinars. Would it be DevOps? I'm assuming would it be about DevOps, building a career in DevOps? Would that be your answer? Whatever your answer is, I mean, let us know on the chat, on the poll, wherever you think it's right for you. Also, people on YouTube, let us know what you would like us to cover next. Okay, I see a lot of you guys are hesitating to give feedback. Remember that the feedback is anonymous. Okay, we don't really track your names or do anything with your email IDs. We only need your feedback there, right? So just make sure you give us your rating, give us what you would like us to do better. More webinars around from DevOps experts. Okay, Savrish, point taken. Or we'll probably do a webinar around DevOps. Today it was about cloud architecture, and that's why we brought in Andy. Okay. Okay, do Simplilearn offer HR SAP? No, Berlin. Unfortunately, no. But do head to simplilearn.com for any other courses in around project management, IT services. You might find courses there, but unfortunately, no, nothing related to HR or SAP. Okay. Great. Thank you so much for being a part of this webinar. Let me see if there are any more questions left. I think all of them are addressed. Abhishek, if your advisor, so the learning advisor will not be able to answer your questions after you join the course. So there's someone known as a learner success manager or a cohort manager that is assigned to you. And they are a part of every class that you join after you join the course, right? So what you can do is if you are already a part of the course and you're looking for support, please reach out to the support team from your learning management environment, right? So that's where you'll be able to reach out to support, ask whatever question you have, right? Veena, Andy is not going to be teaching you for this cohort, not for this one. Slow down in the sense, okay, so this was a 1-hour webinar. We had a lot to cover, Veena. It wouldn't be the same if it was an actual class, okay? So today's agenda was more about how this program helps you stand out. Okay. Yes. So of course, he's going to be taking a few more cohorts related to the DevOps courses that are coming up in Simplilearn in partnership with Purdue. So you can also check that out in case you're interested in DevOps. But if you did give a yes on the poll and you want to take up a DevOps course, also is possible. Okay. So do head to simplilearn.com and submit your entry there. Just make sure you tell the learning advisor that you want to enroll in a DevOps course and they'll be able to help you. Okay, right? Yes. So Abhishek, I also hope I answered your question about why the advisor wouldn't pick your call. Okay. Yes, Abhishek, you can let them know. You could also ask them to speed up the whole process if it's really urgent. But unfortunately, I'm not the right person, Abhishek. I only handle webinars, so I'll probably communicate this to you if you can give me your email ID. Or just do one thing. Just do one thing, Abhishek. Just drop an email to webinars@simplilearn.net. Okay? Mention the issue and let me pass it on. Okay? So I let them know that it's urgent and you also mentioned this in a webinar. Just drop an email to that ID. Okay, I will have access to this email. I know my email. Just drop an email to webinars@simplilearn.net. Drop an email. I will pass it on to the consulting. Okay, will you do that, Abhishek? Are you clear about what you should do? Drop an email to us and then let me pass it on. So that way they'll know that it's urgent. Okay. So the ticketing system works on priorities. Again, people who raise the ticket first get priorities. So that's why maybe there's a delay. But do not worry. You should be able to get your answers clarified very, very soon. Great. Thank you so much, everyone else, for attending this session. In case you're still interested in exploring, this particular course, the Cloud Architect course, or anything at all in the cloud computing domain, the DevOps domain, I'm just leaving you guys with the link. What you can just do is explore all the options that we have, including some certifications, see which one fits you the best, and then make a decision. In case you gave a yes, you're still thinking, oh, cloud architecture, I'm not really sure. So maybe another course also is possible. You don't, nobody's going to force you to enroll into the Cloud Architect Master's Program just because we spoke about it today. Okay, thank you, Berlin, and everyone else for joining. It's great hosting you guys as well. Very enthusiastic group of learners, very eager to learn. Okay, so I'll see you guys again. Thank you for joining.